Welcome to Brain Wellness, the podcast. I'm your host, Mandi NP. What started as all things related to brain health and wellness has morphed into largely brain injury health and wellness, with occasional other neurological topics. My mission remains the same, to help you on the path to a healthier brain. So, without further ado, let's get into the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Brain Wellness, the podcast. Today, I have probably a shorter episode for you, partly because I need to, and partly because I'm going off the cuff on this one. I don't have really a whole lot of notes. I literally just jotted down like 5 words to keep myself kind of on track today. And basically, what I want to talk about today is what happens when you get stressed. So I had all the best laid plans this week. I have been doing a pretty good job of staying on top of my schedule. When I do my interviews, the interviews come out like the same week or the week after. So I am on the ball, which means I can't drop the ball. So if any of you have ever been in the situation where you do drop the ball on something, you realize it kind of has a little bit of a different effect than you anticipated. So I had 2 podcast interviews booked today, thinking that I would be set for this week and for next week, and away I went. And well, unfortunately, neither one of them ended up happening today. So we ended up having to do a little construction in my house, and it got a little loud. So one of them I had to reschedule because there's no way I could have edited out the sound on that one. So we'll be redoing that one next week. I am excited to have that guest come on because there's some really good stuff we're going to talk about. I do have some really good guests lined up, you guys. So do come back and listen to all of those awesome interviews. But for those of you especially that might have had a brain injury yourself, or you are very close with somebody who's had a brain injury, or you just kind of want to understand your patients a little bit more and what's going on with these patients, why they seem to have setbacks on things, I will tell you a little bit more about why my second interview didn't happen today. So I got up this morning and came down to prep for my day. I had a couple things going on. I had the construction crew coming, so I knew I needed to make sure they had all my ducks in a row, as they say. And I did not have my ducks in a row. I realized that one of my interviews, my first interview of the morning, no, my second interview of the day, I did not get my prep email sent out. I always send a prep email so I can get the bio, so I have something to read to introduce the guest and figure out what kind of questions I'm going to kind of jot down. And sometimes we talk about those questions, sometimes we don't. And we get sidetracked and we talk about some other really interesting information. But I usually have some kind of guide for the conversation so that it doesn't go completely awry. And I didn't have that set this morning. I forgot to send that prep email to my guest. So there was not enough time to get that guest's information to me, and I could not get prepared. So there's that. So that one did not happen because of an error on my part. And why do I tell you this? Because for one, I'm super honest, and I always tell people when I make mistakes, because I'm human and it happens. None of us are perfect. None of us are meant to be perfect. And the ideal is that you own up to when you make a mistake and apologize. And I did, and thank the person for being flexible and rescheduling, because I always do. And still, you got to kind of just go with the flow at that point. So now I'm recording my own little mini show to talk about what happens when you're stressed. So yeah, this is something I talk about with my patients all the time. They will come into my office and they seemingly have an increase in their symptoms. They don't know why. They're having more troubles with memory, more troubles with sleep. Their headaches have ramped up, XYZ. Whatever symptoms they have, everything is kind of on overdrive right now. And why is everything on overdrive right now? Probably because they've got something big going on in their life. And I've got some big stuff going on in my life right now. Lots of stress. And I can't say that, the last 3 years have been without stress, because having a brain injury causes a lot of stress. Not being able to work for the first however long it took me, almost 2 years to get back to being a nurse practitioner, not being able to work causes stress, lots of financial stress, lots of pressure on relationships, lots of underlying issues that kind of bubble up to the surface. And yeah, so stress is not fun. But on the flip side, there can be good things that happen. So sometimes my patients come in and they have a baby shower or a bridal shower or a wedding for a family member, their child or cousin or whatever. Somebody had a wedding and there were some really exciting times. We've just had a bunch of high school graduations. People are going to graduation parties. So all of these things happen and your body doesn't really care if it's good stress or bad stress. It's all stress. And stress raises your cortisol levels. It puts you into fight, flight, or freeze mode. It ramps up that sympathetic nervous system, right? So we get that nervous system out of balance. And it's really hard to maintain that without kind of hitting a wall. So remember, I used to use that term all the time, hitting the wall. And I have been hitting my wall a lot lately with all of the stress that's been going on in our household. And when I hit my wall, I have a lot of headaches and I can't sleep very well. And my appetite runs amok and my memory runs amok. So if I don't write things down, I will forget to do them. If I don't set an alarm on my Alexa device, I will forget to get my laundry out of the washing machine and put it in the dryer. So 2 days later, when I'm trying to figure out where my clothes are, I got to go rewash them because they got a little musty in the washer. And if I don't write down things as I'm going through with my patients, I will forget to put an order in. And yes, it happens, but I do get it done. Sometimes I send them messages afterwards and say, hey, I forgot to put this order in. Let's get this scheduled too, because I got to follow up on it. But I can't stay on track right now either. So my schedule has kind of gotten away from me and I've had to apologize to patients left and right because I'm running over with the patient beforehand because I'm struggling to come up with words. I'm struggling to write things down. I just can't process things as quickly as I need to. I still process them because the processing has improved significantly, but it takes me longer to process it. So as I take that extra time to process, I forget things if I don't write them down. That is my crutch. I write everything down. I have Post-it notes all over on my desk at home, my desk at work. I have Post-it notes everywhere so that I can write everything down. And I have my little Remarkable tablet, which is remarkable, by the way. I talked about it in a recent episode when I kind of went through all of my tools of the trade. That thing gets me through everything. I write down all of the things on there. If I have a phone call with the bank, I write it down on there. If I have a phone call with a person potentially coming on the podcast and we have a little conversation, I write down my notes because that's how I get through my day. And I have a little binder where I keep track of all my podcast information so that I know that I send that message to the person. Did I get the information back from them that I needed to prep for the podcast? Did I get their headshot? Did I get all the things so that I can do all the marketing materials? And it works really great as long as I remember to take that email message and turn it into a calendar event. Once it turns into a calendar event, it goes in my binder. And then I remember to follow through on that. This morning, that interview, I hadn't even put it on my calendar. So that's where I dropped the ball on that one. So I apologize to my guests, and I will get them on here because it's a very good story that they have to share as well. But I did want to come on here and just be honest with the fact that it's easy to mess up a little bit and forget things when you are stressed. Again, the big thing that my patients come in and complain about is the headaches. That's probably number one. We've talked about that on the show many, many times. The cognitive issues are the next one. Forgetfulness. But I've had some patients come in and they feel like they did when they first got their injury. And that's how I have felt it sometimes. My headache has been back with a vengeance recently. And it's a reminder of what that headache felt like in the beginning, because it really has felt like I've had that injury all over again. And that headache it's a beast. As I've talked about, I think on previous episodes too, I used to have migraines before my injury, and I would take my migraines back in a heartbeat because they responded to my migraine medications. I could get rid of them. And I am that provider who used to work through it. And there was a time that I was working in clinic early on in my career, and I had to stop seeing patients for the day and become a patient and get an IV infusion in the clinic because I'm just that like type A. I just keep doing things. And I've kept doing things as much as I can, but I'm hitting my wall every day. So when my patients come in and they're describing these symptoms to me and they're saying that they feel like they just had another injury again, that's when we talk about that stress. And stress and brain injury are not friends. I think I've talked about this on the show before too, and I heard it in a country music song. One of these days I'll remember to write it down so I can give credit to the singer that does it. But it's like fire and gasoline. When you have stress or mental health issues and a brain injury, it's like fire and gasoline. They feed each other. So when you have stress, when you have PTSD, anxiety, depression, fill in the blank on whatever situation's going on with that, and you have a brain injury, the stress makes your brain injury symptoms worse. It will kick them back up. Without having a new injury, it will kick those symptoms back up. Those headaches that you thought were kind of gone, the sleep issues that you had, the appetite issues, nausea, dizziness, whatever the case may be, you thought it was getting better, you've done all the therapy, and now it's back with a vengeance. That's what's going on. And then when you are dealing with those increased symptoms, guess what happens to your stress level? That stress level goes up because sometimes you're missing out on things. You're missing out on family activities again. You're missing out on work. You're forgetting to do things that you're supposed to do. You feel like you're letting your kids down because you can't do the things you want to do with your kids. You forget to meal plan and now you're eating out because you didn't have anything to make for dinner that night. Yes, I'm giving you examples of my real life still at this point. But all of those things happen because it's this downward spiral. When you're stressed, it makes your concussion symptoms worse. When your concussion symptoms are worse, it makes your stress worse. So the biggest thing you have to do is, number one, identify it. Identify what's going on. Take some stock in what's happening in your life. Are you stressed? Is there something going on that is out of your control? Is there something going on that you can control? That's where you need to find that marker right there. Can you have control over it? Can you not have control over it? If it's something you can control, great. Enlist the help of family or friends to help you control it if you can. If it's something that's out of your control, then you need to learn some coping skills. And this is where I talk with patients all the time, again, about getting in with a good therapist because they can make or break and help you figure out those coping skills. Yes, I do talk about coping skills with my patients too, because I've learned a few along the way working with my therapists as well. But you really need to learn those coping skills because in our lives, we've all learned some unhealthy coping skills. I don't want you turning to alcohol, drugs, overeating, too much sugar, whatever the case may be that you've learned as a bad habit, coping skill to try to heal from the symptoms that you've got kicked up right now and the stress that you've got, because that's only going to make things worse. All of those things increase inflammation. So that's all going to make things worse as you try to get better. So what are good coping skills? Take a bath. Take a warm, maybe not so warm shower, because warm is not good for your autonomic nervous system. Cool is good for your nervous system. Take a cool shower. Splash some cold water on your face. Take some time for some deep breathing. Do some humming, some singing. I don't care if you sing by yourself in your car or if you dare to sing in front of other people. All of those things help to calm down the vagus nerve, which is the biggest nerve involved in your autonomic nervous system. So deep breathing, that diaphragmatic breathing, doing that regularly, and then doing it again when you're stressed. Doing cold face plunges. I think we've talked about that on the show before too. Cold face plunges. I talk to my patients about this all the time. I still do it, probably not as much as I should. I should probably be doing those on a regular basis right now too. But cold is your friend for autonomic nervous system, whether it's a cold shower, whole body cold plunge, cold face plunges, ice pack to the forehead, chest, back of your neck briefly to calm down the nervous system. During the winter here in Minnesota, I literally would go stand on my deck. It is 90-some degrees here in Minnesota these last couple weeks, and that has not been a great place to go stand to calm down the nervous system. In fact, that has made a lot of my symptoms and my patient's symptoms worse also. Weather has a big effect on this, as does air quality. And we keep getting the air quality alerts, and I don't blame anybody for it. It's wildfires that are happening. We can't blame anybody for that. And if we think it's bad here, I can't imagine our friends in northern Minnesota and Canada that are dealing with the fires actually in their back doors or backyards. But it's that air quality has made an impact on patients' concussion symptoms as well. So not only does it kind of stress us out that we can't get out and do the things that we want to do because of the air quality, but it also causes an increase in those symptoms just because of the inflammation. So if it feels like I'm saying inflammation a lot, it's true, because stress causes inflammation and inflammation causes worsening symptoms. That's all kind of related too. So many things that we could potentially talk about with this, and so many rabbit holes I could go down. And again, I don't have anything else written down to keep myself organized on this. So you're getting my squirrel thoughts kind of all over the place, trying to fill out this conversation here on this topic. But it's a very valid topic. Today, I've been trying to talk with my kids and I can't word. Words are hard. So it's going to be an interesting week going back to clinic tomorrow for the rest of the week because words are hard today. I can't imagine they're going to be a whole lot better tomorrow. Trying to come up with my words has been difficult. Thankfully, my children can help me figure out the words that I need, and we all laugh when I can't come up with it, or if I make up a word, which I've been doing a lot today. There's a whole lot of neologisms going on today, lots of Mandiisms. So lots of new words being said, because words are hard when your brain can't function very well. And sleep is hard when your brain can't function, which makes your brain not function even more. And the dizziness is real. I hold on to the walls these days, and my little peripheral nerve stimulator is getting a lot of business right now. I don't think I'm getting as long out of my battery time as I normally do because it's working kind of overdrive right now. But that's what happens to me when I get stressed. And I know it's not just me, because it's all of my patients that have been coming into my office that have also had increased stress. Again, good stress, bad stress, doesn't matter. Your body still sees it as stress. So how can we help people deal with this? Again, all of those little tips and tricks that help to calm the vagus nerve, calm the peripheral nervous system, calm the autonomic nervous system. Drink lots of water, focus on your sleep. Try to get as much of that as you can. Rest is good. Naps are okay during these times when symptoms are a little bit more kicked up. Find some good, healthy coping skills. Journaling, meditating, yoga. Moving meditation is phenomenal. And if you have balance issues, seated yoga. This is where we get back to my friends at Love Your Brain, because they have the seated yoga, TBI yoga programs. So there are lots of resources out there. Utilize your resources. Lean on your friends and family. No, you don't want to do it all the time. And I know I don't like leaning on people all the time either. But when you need it, and your friends and family will be there for you. They really will. Sometimes they surprise us because we don't anticipate it, and we think, we've kind of been a burden on them for long enough. We don't want to lean on them anymore, but there are days that you still need to. And especially when you've got autonomic nervous system dysregulation, that's when you're going to have those ups and downs, more of the variety of those days being good and days being bad. So figuring out a way to deal with all of that and keep moving forward and getting past the stress and moving past that issue, whatever you're dealing with, whether it's a good or a bad thing. Again, getting through it. Again, another good country song. You're going through hell. Keep going, because that means you're still pushing forward. So keep pushing forward through those stressful times, through that upkick of symptoms. Support your friends, support your patients. Listening is huge. Sometimes just the ability to talk through a stressful situation with a good friend or therapist or provider, or whatever the case may be, that can help to decrease some of that stress as well. It's not going away. We live in a society where we are all stressed all the time now. So I think it's just kind of the norm. We got to figure out those coping skills so that all of us can get through, whether we have a brain injury or not. But just know that if you have that brain injury, you might be a little bit more uncomfortable while you're going through it. So that's what I got for you guys today. I feel like I'm already repeating myself. So I'm going to sign off until next week. Thank you guys so much for being here. Keep coming back. Keep giving me your ideas if there are other topics or speakers you'd like to have me have on the show and have me cover, because I always like to make sure that you guys get your questions answered as well. So again, thanks for being here. Share it, comment, leave me a review. All the things help so many more people hear these words, because I think we just need to get the word out there so that people understand what's going on. And who better to help you understand than a provider who's been there, both sides of the stethoscope. That's where I live. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay cool, stay healthy, protect your brain. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Brain Wellness, the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and share it so that others can benefit. Please also consider supporting the show by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. You can also go to www.brainwellnesssolutions.com to catch the latest info and get links on all of the social medias there. See you next time.